This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. It's hot take time. It's the time of the week where I look at your hot takes and react, go through that comment section. A lot of interesting comments this week. The 2024 is the time for the Browns to get serious. This comment comes from Nick the Sheep, who says, win the division. That's a new minimum expectation. Until that happens, we will not get the coverage or respect we deserve. I don't know if winning the division matters that much to getting the coverage or respect you deserve. Like, I think it's more about getting to the AFC Championship game. If you're able to do that, regardless of whether you win the division, I don't think that matters. And for me, like, yeah, winning the division would be great because I want a home playoff game. I think the fans deserve it, and I think it would be a cool thing to see, and I haven't seen it yet. That being said, the important thing is the Browns getting to the conference championship game. And I think that's what's going to drive it. Like, once you make that conference championship game, it changes how people talk about you. It changes how people view you. And it also matters how you play in that conference championship game, right? If you have a good showing or if you win a conference championship, you get to the Super Bowl, all of a sudden the conversation about you is very different. So, yeah, I think it's more about the conference championship than winning the division, in my opinion. But winning the division could be a stepping stone to getting to the conference championship. Nicole says, my personal expectation for the Browns in 2024 is that they will win the division in at least one playoff game. Anything less will be disappointing. It's time to start getting closer to the Super Bowl. I would argue, Nicole, that the Browns are at the point to where they got to get close. Right? Like, this is the year where they got to at least get close. Like, either you get close in that divisional round or you get close in that conference championship game. We got to feel like the Browns are this close away from winning a Super Bowl or have won a Super Bowl after 2024 ends for all of this to make sense, because we're starting to run short on time here with this current iteration of the roster. The Browns' takeaways from the Super Bowl. These are my takes from the Super Bowl about the Cleveland Browns. This comment comes from Tom Joey, who says, this feels like when LeBron ran the East for 8 straight years. It didn't matter what the regular season's result were, because at some point, every team will have to go through LeBron. The difference is, and in football, you can stack the roster up as much as possible, but at the end of the day, the quarterback's the most important position. As long as the Chiefs invest in the defense, they will always have a chance to win the big one with Mahomes. I think that's true, but I also think the big difference between basketball playoffs and the NFL playoffs is the reason LeBron was able to run the East for 8 seasons straight was because you had to beat LeBron 4 games out of 7. Beating LeBron one time, doable. Beating LeBron 4 times, very, 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 very difficult. And I think that's the difference. You're not being asked to beat the Chiefs 4 times in order to get past them. You just need to catch them on a bad day once. So, yes, it's similar because Pat Mahomes is a similarly dominant level player, and you're right, the Kansas City Chiefs will always have a chance to win it all as long as Pat Mahomes is their quarterback. But where I will add a caveat in what you said is the difference in football, you only got to win 1 game. You only got to beat Pat in 1 game. And every time we've seen the Chiefs play, there have been moments where you can see a team capitalize and win the game here and keep it out of Pat's hands. But it's about taking advantage of those moments. So it's doable. It ain't a fun task. You would much rather somebody else do it, take out the Chiefs. But yeah, it's definitely something. Reacting to Browns clickbait. This is a video where I reacted to a video about the Cleveland Browns cap situation. Eric says, I think someone grew up playing Madden ownership mode. this was an interesting set of comments because like there were like 5, 7 people who commented in this comment section about Madden online. I mean, not Madden online, but Madden ownership mode or franchise mode in some way. And I never think about that, right? Because I played Madden growing up, but I was never hardcore into Madden. Like, if I did a franchise mode, I would do the current season of the game. But after that, dog, I ain't really doing it, right? Like, I'm usually good for 1 year around in a franchise mode, a couple of exhibition games, and then I'm pretty much done with Madden for the year. I've never been hardcore, grind out a 25-year franchise mode or something like that, or go through a whole rebuild on Madden. That's never been my bag, or how I got fun out that game. But yeah, I didn't realize how many people did that and how that might shape how people view the salary cap. Because when you think about how Madden makes you do the salary cap, I could see how people could get a misunderstanding of salary cap situations when they do it in Madden, or the only time that they really interact with the salary cap is in Madden. I can see how that could be a little bit misleading. I think Madden does it that way because I don't think the regular, like, people who are watching this channel excluded, right? If you're watching this channel, you know what void years are, or you know, like personnel package names and stuff like that. Like, you're a hardcore football fan. I don't think Madden's meant for people like me or you at home. I think Madden's meant for, you know, the guy who kind of comes to some football games. Maybe they're a football fan. They watch on Sundays, like the casual fan. And I don't think casual fans are going to be using void years or anything like that. I think casual fans kind of interact with Madden unironically, kind of like how I interact with it, where I just play that 1 year of the year it comes out and then I'm done with it. I'm not about to do it. So I understand why they don't want to put developer resources into a feature that probably, like, of the 10 million people who buy that game, maybe 10,000 people will use them. And they would probably almost all be YouTubers. But it's an interesting. I never thought about it like that. I never thought that people's kind of understanding of the cap has come through their playing of Madden, because that's never how I kind of start to understand it. Yeah. Owen says saying Amari was boomer bust was absurd. This is in response to Football Analysis's video. He averaged 96 yards per game with Watson at quarterback, and that skewed low because due to a 37-yard performance against the Bengals in a weather game. 96 yards per game for a 17-game season equals 1,600 yards. Very unserious take there. Also, 5 games he had less than 40 yards. 3 were with DTR, and he left early against Denver. 1 was with PJ, and 1 was with Flacco, where he got a concussion and exited in the second quarter. Very misleading take. I even think he added, because I think he divided all of Amari Cooper's yards by like 17. So he added like 2 games where Amari didn't even play. It was a bad take by Football Analysis. Like, I think that was objectively, like, outside of the whole salary cap stuff, which was just flat wrong. The take that Amari was boomer bust in that video, to me, was just, it kind of made me want to click off the video entirely, because that's a take that exposes that you did not pay attention to this team during the course of the season, because saying that about Amari Cooper is telling me you didn't watch the team. Like, it's just like, okay, you didn't watch it, because nobody who watched the team all year or even paid close attention to the Browns all year would say that. Like, only people who would say that are people who watched only condensed versions of the game all year, or maybe they just watched like the highlight package. Like, I feel like that one right there, you know, look, we all run into it where we want to have opinions about things that we don't really know about. And to me, that kind of told me that the vast majority of what he was saying about the Cleveland Browns and their situation were things that he had initial thoughts about, but didn't do any real research about. And it ended up just coming off as very, very lazy. So yeah, that was one of the most, I couldn't understand that take at all when I saw it. How the Browns can actually free up some cap space, where we talked about the Browns cap. Quincy put the nerd glasses on to really hammer home the math. I was trying something new. I like the glasses, and you know what? The glasses will make a return, but not today. Not today. Buckeye says, if Jack Conklin decides to retire, how does that affect the cap hit for him? I am not sure how that does affect the cap hit. I'm pretty sure if you ask Jack Duffin on Twitter, he will give you an answer, or he will point you in the right direction of an answer. I think the way retirements work is you can work out an agreement with the retiring party, and you basically settle out the contract, and then whatever you settle it out with and that's left on that contract after that player decides to retire, that's what ends up hitting the cap. So if he has a cap hit for like $16 million and you settle that contract out for him getting $2 or $3 million or what, I don't know. I don't know the details of it, but I'm pretty sure there's a settlement process, and then after that settlement process, you get a reduced cap. I don't think it all comes off the salary cap. I think it's kind of similar to like if you cut a player, where some of that money comes off the salary cap, but also some of that turns into dead money. I think it's something similar like that. I could be wrong. Jack Duffin will have a better answer, but that's my current understanding of this. The Nandre says, I think Miles wants to re-up his deal soon. I don't think that'd be cheap, especially with his new credentials. Hey, brother, Myles Garrett reset the market when he got, well, not reset. He chose not to reset the market, but Myles Garrett was capable of getting the biggest contract he had last time, and he chose to get a pretty market value contract. He is in the exact same position today. He was a future Hall of Famer when he signed the first contract. He's a future Hall of Famer now. So is his deal going to be expensive? Sure, but it's Myles Garrett. Like, who cares how much you're paying Myles Garrett? He's Myles Garrett. I don't know. I've seen so many players in Browns history not live up to contracts that I could care less if there's an expensive player living up to his contract. Nobody cares if Myles Garrett's expensive. The rare, honest evaluation of Deshaun Watson. Dr. Reno says, Quincy, I appreciate your report card for Deshaun Watson and staying neutral. I think you're spot on with where he needs to make improvements, but I think that's every quarterback. They all have weaknesses. I've observed the only difference between Deshaun Watson and other top quarterbacks is the supporting cast, coaches, etc. I predict the Browns will be in the Super Bowl 2024 if the weakest link on the Browns team is better than every team in the AFC North, AFC weakest link. Oh, by the way, reserve your comments about CJ after 2024. He hasn't been tested yet. It's unfair to compare CJ's body of work to the shot. Appreciate the content. Okay. I don't know where I like compare. Okay. So yeah, we'll see. Every quarterback does have weaknesses, but I think Deshaun's weaknesses have demonstratively, even when he was in Houston playing in 2020, 2019, have been something that has limited his potential. And the thing I'm talking about is his sack numbers. He takes way too many sacks. And you can say it's the offensive line, it's this and that. It's him. It's partly on him. I think that's been the thing that's held him back and why he hasn't had the success that he should have in his career so far. But yeah, he can improve in that area. Now, his supporting cast, it's not that bad, man. Like, honestly, the two quarterbacks that got to the AFC Championship game had worse supporting cast than him, especially when you factor in the defense. And that's another thing when we talk about supporting cast for a quarterback, we tend to center that conversation around wide receiver and tight end. But really, supporting cast is everything. Offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, and your defense and special teams. And Deshaun has a good supporting cast, man. Like, he's not in a bad situation. He's in a pretty damn good situation. He has a top 2 defense. He has a top 5 tight end, a really, really good wide receiver, some good offensive linemen, and he'll get Nick Chubb back. He's in a great situation. Honestly, he should be able to make this work. So no, I don't think his supporting cast is subpar. I think he just needs to step up his play a little bit. He's capable of playing better. I think part of the reason, if not most of the reason he hasn't played better, is very simple. He hasn't played consecutive games. He hasn't played 8 consecutive games since 2020. Since coronavirus. He hasn't played 8 consecutive games. That's a big issue for him. Like last time he played 8 consecutive games, LeBron was celebrating a world championship win. Think about that. Think about that. Cody Rhodes was still at AEW. Like, think about that. That's how long ago Deshaun Watson has played 8 games in a row. I think he just needs to play consecutive games in a row. And he'll be probably, close to what we felt like he should be. Or maybe he won't, but at least we'll find out. Maui Tank says, something weird I noticed. I feel safer when Deshaun throws. His deep balls are great, but his short throws could be wobbly and dangerous. Yeah, that goes back to that funkiness he got with his mechanics. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's him having some awkwardness with the new footwork that he was asked to learn in that offense, or if it's just him having some awkwardness for not playing football for a while. It could be anything, but yeah, that's certainly a thing with him that you would wish to get better next year. And hopefully it will, because it wasn't really a problem in Houston. But that's it. Thank y'all for the comments on the videos. I appreciate them. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.